Hi, my name is Sarah, and if you're new here, I make videos about sewing and styling a handmade wardrobe. This video is part of a series that I've been doing where I'm sharing the patterns that I would sew again. Now, sew again in this context is a little bit loose because I only need so many jackets and coats, but consider this an exercise in the patterns that I would sew again in case I lost my wardrobe or if I needed to start over again for any reason. I would go to these patterns first. There are also a couple of these on this list that I do actually want to sew again, and I'll just let you know what those are as we go. So let's just dive right into it with the knits. The first knit pattern for a layer that I would sew again is the Pattern Emporium Grab a Cuppa Cardi. I've made two of these already, and the white one I no longer have in my wardrobe because the fabric pilled really quickly and it just didn't look nice anymore. But I do really like this cardigan. It comes in several different lengths, but I would probably stick to just the cropped version. And in the future, I might think about slimming down the sleeves. They have a full sleeve that's gathered into a cuff, and I think that I might want a few versions where it's just more of a standard sleeve, but that should be a relatively easy modification to make. This is a pattern that I do actually want to sew more of. It's not on my list to sew for this fall and winter, but I could definitely see myself making more versions because it's a nice, simple V-neck cardigan, very classic, very basic staple garment. So I definitely will be sewing more versions of this one in the future. Next up, we have the Tilly and the Buttons Pearl Cardigan. This one I have also sewn two versions of, and I only have one in my wardrobe. The first version was out of this kind of gold or mustardy color that really didn't suit me, so I didn't keep that one. But the other one that I have is out of kind of a pale purple, sort of periwinkle color, and I do really like that version. I've recently discovered that wrap styles are not my favorite because they're just a little bit too fussy and you have to keep messing with them throughout the day to make sure that you're not showing anything that you don't want to show. But in this case, I like this particular pattern because it's for a cardigan. So it's really meant to be worn over something else. I always wear like a t-shirt or a tank top underneath. So I definitely would make more versions of this, and I do like the other views. There's one that has a short sleeve, and then I've only made the version with the full gathered sleeves, but they do have a more standard fitted sleeve, and I would like to try those other variations. Just like with the Pattern Emporium, this is another one that's not on my immediate list to sew, but I would like to make more of these in the future. Next, we have the I Am Patterns Gaston. This is a pattern for a knit jacket. It has a ton of different versions. I actually sewed a modified version of this jacket because I was trying to copy a ready-to-wear jacket that I had seen. I made it out of a faux Sherpa fabric. I think I shortened it, and I used leather toggles for the fasteners. But I would eventually like to try out just the more standard version. I think it's a nice classic pattern for a knit cardigan. You can make a version that has a collar, or you can leave it collarless. And it's meant to be sewn out of slightly heavier, more stable fabrics like ponte. And I do have some of those in my stash that are kind of languishing, so I could potentially use some of those fabrics for this particular jacket. I don't have any current plans to do it, but it is on my list to try at some point. And the last knit jacket pattern on my list that I would sew again is the Hey June Handmade Evans Blazer. Now, I've said in the past that I'm not much of a blazer person, but the reason I would technically sew this pattern again is because it is for a knit blazer, so it's a little bit more casual. It fits my personal style better. I've made one version of this pattern out of a ponte fabric, and I do really like that jacket. It has two different views, but I only like the one that has the shawl collar. I don't really like the draped collar. In my opinion, it looks a little bit dated. This is a pattern that I'm not itching to sew again anytime in the near future, but if I lost my first jacket, I would consider replacing it. I do like that it has some nice details like the welt pockets, and it's relatively polished and professional, even though it is made out of a ponte. So it's very comfortable and easy to wear, but it does dress up an outfit a little bit when I do wear it. Before we move on to the woven patterns, if you enjoy this series and you haven't seen the other videos, I will link the playlist down in the description box below. I've covered tops, bottoms, dresses, and jumpsuits. And if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up because it helps more people find my channel. Moving on to the wovens, the first jacket pattern that I would repeat again is the Alina Design Company Hampton Jean Jacket. I've made two versions of this, one out of a light wash and one out of a dark wash, and I wear both of my jackets so much. It's definitely a closet staple for me. It's something that I wear year-round, and I actually would like to make more versions of this, although not anytime soon because it is quite an involved make. But someday I could see myself having like a black denim version or a white denim version or even something like a corduroy. It's just a very classic staple pattern that never really goes out of style. So that's why I'm going to keep that one on my pattern list. I know there's a lot of companies out there now that have patterns for classic denim jackets, and the Hampton doesn't have the best sizing because it was released quite a long time ago now, and the designer is no longer publishing new patterns. But if you don't have a classic denim jacket in your wardrobe, it is one that I would recommend for everyone to pick up and eventually sew for themselves because it's a very fun and satisfying sew, and it's something that I do get a lot of wear out of. This next pattern is one that I actually do not have any plans to ever sew again, but I would sew it again if I had to restart my wardrobe, and that is Butterick 6862. I sized up in this pattern in order to make it a coat rather than a traditional blazer. I think I made a size 14, and if I could go back in time and do it again, I would size down to a 12. I do think that I made it a little bit too big. But the reason why I think this pattern is worth repeating and it's worth checking out if you haven't done it is because it's a classic tailored blazer that has all of the details. It has shoulder pads, it has the lapels, it has welt pockets, and it's a big four pattern. And so I know that a lot of people will be scared away by the instructions, but I'm here to tell you that the instructions for this particular pattern are excellent. I didn't have any issues following them. I thought they were really clearly explained, and I do feel like I got a very good result in the jacket that I made. It's just a little bit too big for me, and that's my own fault. So if you are looking for a pattern for a classic blazer, I do think that this one is a good one to try. It's not too scary, the instructions aren't confusing, and it gives really good results. So like I said, because blazers aren't really my style and I only need the one coat, I don't plan on ever making this one again. But if I did lose my wardrobe, I might consider remaking this one. I would just size down one size next time. Next, we have the Papercut Patterns Stacker Jacket. I made one version of this many years ago and I don't have it anymore. And the reason why it's no longer in my wardrobe had nothing to do with the pattern itself. The thing that I like about this pattern is that it's a simple boxy jacket. It is fully lined and the finishing details are really nice. So that's why I would eventually like to revisit this pattern and make another version. The reason why I don't have the white jacket in my closet anymore is because when I made it, whatever I used for the markings to like mark the buttonholes and like the pocket placement and things like that, it was some sort of blue pen that never came out. I tried and tried and tried and I could not remove the marks, and so they were always visible, and it looked really tacky having like blue marks where the buttonholes were. Having that visible, it just looked really bad. So that is the only reason why I got rid of that jacket. Otherwise, I'm sure that I would have kept it for many years because it's a classic, very basic type of jacket. So especially because that pattern is lined and it's a relatively simple lining construction, it's really easy to do. I would make this pattern again in the future. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Next on the list is another blazer. It's the Avid Seamstress the Blazer. I've made one version of this out of a cotton flannel and it is fully lined. The reason why I would put this on my to repeat list is because I like that it's a more casual, laid back style of blazer. It doesn't have any closure. The pocket construction is really simple and it's not as involved as like a welt pocket, but it does have some nice finishing details, like it is fully lined. I don't feel the need to have another one of these blazers in my closet, but it is another pattern that if I were restarting my wardrobe and I wanted to add one or two blazers, I would consider this one because I think that it is a little bit simpler than a more tailored blazer like the Butterick one. It's quicker to sew, but it still has a really nice polished look. It's just a little bit more casual, and that fits better with my personal style. At one point, I had considered making this pattern again in a white linen for summer wear. I just never really got around to it, and then my desire kind of faded because I'm really not much of a blazer person. But I do think that it's a really nice style, and it could work in a variety of fabrics for different seasons, so it's really versatile in that way. Next, we have a vest, the Butterick 6901. I consider this to be a TNT pattern for me, even though I've only sewn one version to this point. This pattern is for a classic V-neck vest. It's cropped. It does also come with patterns for pants and shorts, although I haven't tried those yet. And I did make a muslin, and so I got the fit of my vest pretty much spot on and perfect. So it would be a wasted opportunity if I never make another version because I put in all the work to get it to fit me properly. I really should make more of them. I made mine out of a white cotton canvas, and the only thing that I don't like about it is that there are ties to cinch in the back, and to me they're a little bit thick and bunchy and they get in the way. And so because the vest is very, very fitted in the first place, you don't even really need to cinch the back. So in the future, I would probably just leave off the ties completely. But I do really like the style of the vest. It is relatively simple to put together because the pockets on the front are fake. They're not real pockets. but you don't really need real pockets in a vest because it's so small you wouldn't be able to put anything in them anyway. Unless you had a pocket watch or something, but I mean, who has that these days? But I do really love that vest and I want to make more versions. I think that I probably am going to be sewing another one very soon. So if you don't have a good vest pattern on your tried and true list, I would definitely recommend trying out this one because I think it's a really good pattern. Oh, and it is also fully lined. I don't think that I said that. And the lining is a relatively simple construction. It's not difficult to do it. Next on the list is another one that I don't currently have any plans to remake it again. It's the I Am Bob coat. I made this out of a red cotton canvas that was sponsored to me by Minerva, and the inside lining is a cotton sateen, which is also a Minerva fabric. I absolutely love this coat. This coat is one of my favorite things that I have ever sewn. I absolutely love wearing it. Because of the color and the length, it's very dramatic, but it's also very classic. I can see myself holding onto this coat for the rest of my life, honestly, as long as it still fits me. I really like this design because it is a single-breasted trench coat. I prefer the single-breasted to the classic double-breasted coats. It has a variety of different length options. It comes with a tie belt. It just has a lot of really nice details. It was another one that was an involved make, but as long as you follow the directions step by step, you can definitely get through it. I would say that it's not super challenging, but it's also very satisfying to make. So although I don't see myself sewing another version because I feel like one is enough, if somehow I lost my red coat, I would definitely duplicate it again because I just love it so much. I can't see myself going through life without having that red trench in my wardrobe. Next we have the Megan Nielsen Hovea coat. I always mean to look that up, how to pronounce it, and then I forget. Anyway, it's for a quilted jacket, and I've made one version out of a Mind the Maker quilted fabric. I wear this coat way more than I expected to because the color is not the best for me, but I do think it's a nice classic neutral that goes with a lot of my outfits. So I do find myself reaching for it. It's nice and warm. It's not a winter coat, but it's definitely good for the fall. I would love to make another version of this, maybe the cropped one with the ties that's either patchwork or maybe like a small scale floral. Something that definitely looks different than my first version. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. It's one of those jackets where I feel like I would have a lot of fun making it, but then I don't know that I would really wear it all that much. So that's probably why I haven't done it yet. But it's one of those someday projects that I would really like to go back to and revisit. The coat is relatively simple and easy to construct. I can't remember if there's an option for a lining. I think there might be. Don't quote me on that. But either way, it's a relatively simple jacket to put together, and I think that it looks really nice. So it may be a few years before I get around to doing it, but someday I would like to make a more colorful, more interesting looking version of this coat. Next, we have the Simplicity 8797. This is a very easy coat pattern. I've done a full review on it, which I will link up in the cards. I made it out of a teddy fleece that I purchased from Minerva, and then I think the inside lining is like a leopard print that I got from Rainbow Fabrics. The reason why I would recommend this coat pattern is because it's so easy. Even if you're a beginner, even if you've never made a coat before, I actually think this would be an ideal first coat pattern to try out because it's really simple and it's kind of hard to mess it up, honestly. So this is a pattern where I don't feel the need to sew another version, but if I were starting my wardrobe again, I would probably make a beeline to this pattern first because it is so simple that I could sew an achievable coat in a short amount of time if I needed clothes. This would probably be the quickest coat pattern that I could sew up and still get a really good result. This next pattern appears to be out of print, which is a little bit surprising to me. It's Simplicity 9685. The reason why I'm surprised is because this style of coat is still very in fashion right now. It's for a V-neck coat and it has an attached scarf that you wrap around your neck. And that sort of style is still everywhere right now. It's very trendy. Now, regardless of whether it's trendy or not, I really like this coat because it is a little bit different from all of my other coats. I made it out of a camel colored boiled wool that I purchased myself from Minerva. It is fully lined, it has patch pockets, so that part of the construction is a little bit easier. And the attached scarf is a relatively simple neck finish, like you don't have any kind of notched collar or anything like that. This is another one that I feel like one is enough, but if I had to start my wardrobe over again, I think that I could make room for this type of coat because it is a little bit different, it's a little bit more unique. And I think that the style with the scarf is different enough that it's interesting. It's trendy, but I don't think it's going to look too dated in a couple of years. That's a personal preference thing, but I intend to keep wearing my coat even after it's out of fashion because I just like that style. Next, we had the Pattern Scout Cozy Jacket. I've only made one version of this, but I definitely want to make more. This is a really versatile pattern. I did purchase the expansion pack, and that's the version that I actually made. It's the one that has a more traditional collar and a button up front But the original pattern has a zipped front with a funnel neck, which I do want to make. There's also a version that has a hood, which I also want to make, and you can make this out of knits or wovens. So it's a very, very versatile pattern. You can make lots of different jackets from the same pattern. And I honestly can't tell you why I haven't made more versions of this yet. I do really want to try them. And I absolutely love the version that I made. I think I used a stretch denim that I got from Mood in a dark olive color, and I absolutely love that jacket. It's one of my very favorite fall and winter pieces. It goes with so many different things, and it's relatively simple to put together. It is unlined. So if you haven't tried out that pattern, I highly recommend it, and I'm definitely putting it on my to sew list. Hopefully, maybe this fall and winter, I can sew up at least one more version. So those were all of the layer patterns that I would sew again. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that you support my channel, and I will see you in the next video.